Aminatou the Fate Stitcher. She's an Esper Planeswalker commander that comes into play for 3 mana with 3 loyalty counters. Her first ability is +1, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your deck. And this is going to make people go for a miracle build, playing Temporal Mastery. And I think Temporal Mastery is pretty much an auto-include whenever you're going to play this creepy little girl. Her secondary ability is -1, exile target permanent you own, and then return it to battlefield under your control. Now this is supposedly going to function into her ultimate ability, that is just a chaotic ability that throws permanents in all directions, and then you return your permanents that you own to your control and gain some amazing value from it. However, you can do a combo with her secondary ability. So with Felidar Guardian, you exile Felidar Guardian, and then Felidar Guardian comes back into play under your control. Trigger, exile your commander. So the commander flips and goes into exile and then comes back. So you can use her once more to exile Felidar Guardian, and then you can do this crazy loop where they are exiling each other into some weird zone where we don't want to know what they're doing together. Now this bouncing isn't achieving anything unless you have something in play like Vela the Nightclad. Whenever Vela the Nightclad or any other creature you control leaves the game, each opponent loses 1 life. So with your commander Vela the Guardian and Vela the Nightclad, you will deal infinite loss of life to all of your opponents. However, this is not the main reason why we are looking at this commander that should rather be in a horror film. Her first ability is quite close to what Brainstorm is doing. Draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand back on top of your deck in any order. And the quite common thing that you do after resolving a Brainstorm is shuffle your library in somehow with a fetch land or a tutor effect. Doesn't matter, you are now sending away cards that you don't desire into your big deck and hopefully draw something that you do desire. So what this butterfly little girl commander has is basically Brainstorm in command zone. And you can play a lot of risky situational cards, and then if you don't need them in the situation, you can throw them away. Let me demonstrate something so you understand what I'm talking about. Let's look at this card. Insight. Whenever an opponent successfully casts a green spell, draw a card. This is quite a situational card because it's only affecting green opponents. So whenever you're going up against no green opponents, this card is useless. But with your commander, you can activate her ability, draw a card, and then put Insight on top of your deck. And then somehow shuffle your deck with a fetch land or a tutor effect once more to send it away, and hopefully find something else that you're going to draw into. Another perfect situational card. Maybe it's better to have Rest in Peace in this game instead. But Rest in Peace is also a situational card and not always great. Sometimes you're not going up against graveyard decks. But with Aminatou as your commander, you can play Rest in Peace as a risky card because she can fix it for you, sculpting your hand, fixing the hand size, fixing the cards you have in your hand, replacing it with maybe better cards, like maybe Eidolon of Rahitic. That is also quite a situational card. It's a stacks card that is great versus a lot of decks, but not great versus all of them. And if it's bad in the situation, in the specific matchup you're in, then throw it away. The same with Stony Silence, also great in some situations. Then we have this really strange enchantment, also great in some strange situations. Dose. Really nasty enchantment. You can pay 2 mana to counter target red spell, and you can keep on going for that forever. There's another version of it, Death Grip. You counter target green spell instead. We also have something that will be very situational against mono red decks or some players that have a lot of mountains. And if you want a board wipe and throw people back at the Stone Age of destroying all their lands, then this is a great card. Sometimes you go up against decks that are discarding a lot of cards, and Waste Not is suddenly great. This is great versus Gitrog Monster. This is also great versus the Gitrog Monster. Also a situational graveyard, anti-graveyard card that is sometimes useless. Father Adele, also great. If you predict that one of your opponents has Paradox Engine, Aetherflux Reservoir or Isochron Scepter inside their deck, then you can play Father Adele, and most likely that player is also going to have islands, and then you can steal that artifact from them, or maybe just send it into exile and making it quite hard for them to win the game. By the way, Teferi Chainveil don't have any real win con if you remove the Chain Veil from the game. So if this creature card, Father Adel, would attack and hit Teferi's face, you would go into his deck, find Chain Veil and put it in exile. Teferi might as well just scoop. I guess that you could call this something of an adaptive strategy. You find a lot of cards that are great for specific situations, that is going to be impactful and maybe take over the game or have a huge good effect, that are sometimes useless in different matchups. And then you use your commander to throw them away, while you still have some cutesy Feather the Guardian infinite exile triggers and infinite leave the game triggers effect to somehow win the game, and then also have that time warp effect to 2 mana take an extra turn. I am skeptic that she will put together a really high competitive deck. However, I am a bit curious about testing this adaptive strategy style of trying to loot away bad cards and finding better cards. So my final review for this Blair Witch Project girl is something of a possibility. She could turn into something that is quite good. She could also turn into something that is quite casual. She should be something to consider at the very least. Now this is it for this short Planeswalker Commander Esper card review. Now thank you so much for watching, guys, and stay on the alert for more reviews coming up.